I'm Neil Lawrence. I'm a professor of machine learning at the University of Cambridge. Well, I don't know, because all the advances so far have not been impossible, but difficult to predict. So what I think is the main focus we should have is not so much what's coming next, but how do we take what we've done so far, which is already transformational, and how do we integrate that in society in a way that brings the benefits of the technology while ameliorating for the negative consequences of the technology. And we need to do that in such a way that whatever the next advance is, we can assimilate that advance as we move forward in society. My original research was all focused on developing methods, but about 10 years ago, when I could see these methods working and really having a transformative effect, or potentially transformative effect on society, I shifted a bit more to trying to understand the effect of these methods as they're deployed in the real world. So while I still do some work on the algorithms and the technical side, for me the emphasis has really shifted to that interface between the technology and society. So today, things that have excited me are seeing the use of AI and deploying and increasing the accessibility of robotic surgery, which could have a transformative effect on developing economies where the availability of surgeons is not so widespread. But also, at the same time, we've heard about ideas and techniques for how we integrate these technologies in a way that involves partnerships between companies, universities, and government. And I think that's what we need to really bring the benefits. Absolutely. So one of my most useful connections was with Mark Johnson, who has a very similar philosophy for how we have to deploy this technology and has been working in the University of Manchester and with AstraZeneca about how AI is transforming institutions. And I think that's a key question. How is AI transforming institutions, and how do we need to change what we're doing to ensure that those transformations are happening in the ways we want rather than just the consequences of unthinking deployment? It's an incredibly difficult problem to imagine how we're going to fulfill the demand for data centers and compute that these technologies imply. There's something called Jevons paradox that applied for coal, that when steam engines became more efficient, it didn't reduce the need for coal, it actually increased it because, of course, they became more affordable, so we got more steam engines. And I think we're going to see the same thing with these technologies. So the real challenge is when you look across the globe, we're going to have questions around how we're deploying this technology and our electrical infrastructure, making choices between things like transport or heating, or in countries where temperatures are going to rise above human survival levels, air conditioning, versus spending money on electricity for compute. And I think that as we move forward, that's going to be a significant social challenge that I don't think anyone has the exact answer to, but we're going to be talking about it more and more. So I think in the near future, and what we're already seeing when we talk to local authorities or teachers or nurses, this new wave of generative AI, despite the potential environmental cost, can have a direct benefit on improving the quality of their lives, making the digital systems that they interface with more manageable, making them systems that, instead of being systems that feel like they're doing things to the nurse, teacher, or local authority worker, they're supporting them in their role. And we hear a lot of examples, for example, from social care workers using software called Magic Notes to improve their ability to engage with a distressed adult while filling in the paperwork somewhat automatically, so that the paperwork is being reduced from something that's taking up many hours a week to something that's taking up a few minutes for review.